like about your game film?
Our physicality, our togetherness defensively. I thought we were on the same page. I liked the way we, had shots, took shots that were our shots. I thought our offensive rhythm was a little bit better, and just a progression of getting a rhythm from that standpoint helped us. Now, our three-point shooting was a little bit more in sync, and but just overall, I thought our whole disposition, our running the floor, just everything we did with a little bit more force.
Go through some of the lineup data. It seems that PJ keeps showing up in most of the better defensive results. Is a coincidence or not?
No, that's what I said last week. And it was unfortunate 2 games that he didn't play a lot. In the Miami game, I think it was like 15 minutes or whatever, 14 minutes the next game. We've got to find him more minutes or whatever, at the 3 or the 4, find him as many minutes as possible. And because he shows up well in all of our scenarios. And it starts on the defensive end. He just sets the tone. He and Serge both they think defensively, they talk defense, they help guys get in the right spots, they turn up the heat on their teammates, which, they set the tone. And you got to have that if you want to be a good defensive team.
He seems to have that ability where he gets really low and wide, and yet he can keep his hands active but not lose his balance. It's sort of a rare combination.
Right. No, his physical build is perfect for a defensive player. I mean, he's like a defensive running back, and he's strong. He's probably one of the strongest guys on our team. And so his center of gravity is there, his balance, his hands, active hands without fouling. He just knows how to play. He's a veteran player. He's been around the block a few times, so there's not a situation he hasn't seen before.
Do you like his emotion?
I love his emotion. I love his grit. I love his fire. I love his passion. And, everything about him. There's nothing about P.J. Tucker that I don't like.
When you were talking to Mazai before trade deadline, that would have been exactly the kind of guy that you would wanted. Had you guys sort of targeted him? Because his name was out there and sort of bounced around.
I'll leave that up to Masai. I was more worried about our team more so than getting involved in that. You have to talk with them about that. But he's a guy I've always admired from that standpoint, Doug. I didn't sit and covet him, but he's a guy that would fit that bill perfectly. A guy that can defend, can knock down the corner 3, and just a veteran guy that just, can take on any comers.
Last night about Jakob's basketball instincts, and we've seen it as well. Where do you think that comes from for a kid who grew up in an unconventional basketball atmosphere?
Well, Larry Soviak did an excellent job of coaching out there at Utah. Teaching. He's a natural athlete. His mom and dad both are athletes. His DNA is athletic. He doesn't look athletic. You wouldn't think of him being athletic, but he's a very athletic young man. And but Larry Soviak took him and his coaches over there at an early age, and his biddy ball over there in Austria really did a good job of teaching him the fundamentals. But he's just had a natural athletic feel for the game, and also being well coached.
Where do you see him making, he's had time in the D-League, he's had time sitting on the end of your bench, and then he's had spare minutes here and there, and now all of a sudden he's sort of moved up the chain a little bit. When did that happen for him, and when did it happen for you?
For me, it's just every time you put him in, he does something positive. He builds that trust, not only with myself, but with his teammates. He's doing positive things, doesn't make mistakes, plays with physicality. The only thing that, and it's not his fault, is cheap fouls. He gets a lot of cheap calls, and looking back at the tape, they're not,
they're not legit.
So again, that's the only thing. But again, he's always in the right place. Very few mistakes. He's very physical. He's not afraid. He loves contact. And so all those things add up, and this is a physical game. As the higher you go at this level, it's a physical game, and he meets all those criteria.
What are his practice habits like?
Great. Yeah. Great. He's a worker. Does everything you ask of him. He's first one in, last one to leave. So there's nothing. Again, the future's bright for him, and he don't want to put a lot of pressure. He's still growing. He's still going to make mistakes, but his future is very bright in this league. And again, he's going to be one of those guys that ultimately will move out to the three-point line. He has a great touch. You know, his work is going to come the rest of this year, all this summer, in the next couple of years.
I asked him about those rookie calls yesterday, and he said, hey, it's part of the journey. It's okay. As long as it's not a deciding play, it's okay. Is that sort of the perspective that you'd like to see?
You got to have that. The emotional fact, he's got the emotional stability that you want from a rookie. He doesn't get overly dramatic or excited or down or up. You know, he's a very level-headed young man. So all those things factor into him having a little bit more immediate success than if you were up and down, emotionally unstable, and all those things. So he's got the right mindset for where he is and who he is, because if that was me, I'd have lost my mind a long time ago.
Dwane, what is it about the Bulls that give you guys so much problems over the years?
You tell me, and we'll both know. I'm telling you, different coaches, different players. And PJ and I were talking earlier this morning about the 10. I mean, they've all been different ways. There's been games where we've had leads. There's been games where they spanked us. There's close games, middle of the ring, all kind of games that we played against them. We've tried different schemes, different things. So it's time for that, for us to really get that to stop. 10 times is as many games I don't know if we've lost to any team. So, this game has a little bit more significance for us, sense of urgency for us tomorrow night than normal.
When you get a streak like that, is it possible for a team to get in another team's head like that, regardless of how good they are?
I don't know, because it's different people. I mean, it's different people, different coaches, different offensive schemes, different defensive philosophies. So I don't know, how you would get in somebody's head. The one constant is Jimmy Butler. He's been there the whole time. Mirotic has been there a long time, but really Butler's been the one there the longest. So I don't think it's a hit. I just think, whether it's matchups or what it is, something that we got to make sure we go in with a sense of urgency tomorrow night.
Have you been involved in anything like that in your history?
I don't remember. I don't remember anything other, I remember 10, the Dallas or Minnesota, anywhere. Yeah. I would remember Kentucky. I would remember anywhere that somebody's beat me 10 in a row. So believe me, it's high on. It should be high on our radar.
Taj Gibson was part of a lot of those too. He's gone now. You think is that a difference?
I don't know. I haven't researched it that deeply. Yeah. All I see is 10, Michael, and
actually it's 11.
It's 11. Sorry.
I'm sorry, 11. Oh, sorry, it's even worse. But McDermott was a big part of that too. It seemed like every time he played us, he had like 20 or whatever. But again, we're a different team. They're a different team now. So let's go out and play a brand of basketball that we can, be proud of.
Whether it's in guys' heads or not, is it almost nice to have two guys that have nothing to do with the PJ and Serge that
both of them,
they don't know about it and don't care about it?
Both of them have said, it's crazy. Well, at least PJ did it. I think Serge rolled his eyes, but it's two new guys. But again, even that game, we got to continue and be consistent. We've had consistent focus for the last 2 games, consistent energy, consistent playing with force for the last 2 games, and we got to maintain that consistency.